Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Go Mental. My name is Warieme Karinge. I'm the founder and CEO of Let's Go Mental Kenya. I am also a creative. I love working with my hands and I run a business called Anointed Roots and Revival where we convert plastic containers into very beautiful flower pots. So we have this small size and we have bigger sizes. You can always go check out our page and see what we have available. Today's episode, I would like us to talk about 10 truths I have learned after living with depression and anxiety for 10 years. So it's 10 years and 2 months thereabouts. So we'll just say 10 truths over 10 years. Truth number 1, depression is an illness just like any other. We assume that depression comes because someone called it upon themselves. We assume that depression came because someone is weak. We assume that depression comes because someone was abused. That is not the case. Depression is an illness just like any other. The only reason people misunderstand it or don't believe that it's an illness is because it's an invisible illness. Which brings me to the second point of you cannot willpower your way out of depression. I will repeat that again. You cannot willpower your way out of depression. The very same way you can't willpower your way out of hypertension, the way you can't willpower your way out of hypothyroidism, the way you cannot willpower your way out of a broken leg is the very same way you cannot willpower your way out of depression. As I mentioned in the first point, it affects you mentally and it affects you physically, which makes it an illness. So you cannot willpower your way out of an illness. What you can try and do is that you can try and make your environment positive. So if, for example, someone tells you think positive, and guys, please, let's stop using that word because what do you mean think positive? How? You know, like that statement really upsets me, to be honest. But we can always say that you can try and be positive while you're going through the relapse. So how can you try and be positive? For example, look for funny things to watch on TV, look for interesting things to watch on Instagram, surround yourself with people who will, not bring you down, but maybe people who will make you laugh. There are those people who you just, even when you just see each other, you just start laughing. Surround yourself with such people. A third thing that I have come to learn is that relationships will get affected in one way or the other. This could be with family, this could be with friends, this could be with your partner, this could be with whoever it is, your colleagues, stuff like that. Somehow, some way along the way, your relationships are going to get affected. Reason being, number 1, some people just don't want to understand. They will not take the time to listen to what you're saying. They will not take the time to read up on what you're going through. They will not take the time probably even to go to listen to podcasts that are about depression, but they are quick to give you solutions. And of course that ends up hurting you. But imagine that's just human beings. There are other people who will prefer to use maybe tough love. And at that point, you don't need tough love and it ends up affecting you. We have also the thing of people giving unsolicited advice. You have not asked someone for advice, but they decide, no, I must tell you what to do because I think what I think I am about to tell you, you will be able to get better. So relationships end up getting affected. You change as a person. You can imagine someone like me living with poor health for 10 years. Being in corridor hospitals, you're admitted 2 weeks, a month, I'm in admission, I'm at home, I'm sick for 3 months. You change as a person. And what happens is you'll find that the people who knew you while you were healthy will not understand this sick person. So because they do not have the capacity to understand and to hold you in this state that you're in, you find that you start falling out with friends. And imagine, guys, it is so. Just learn how to guard your heart, as the scripture tells us, guard your heart, and just take care of yourself and understand that not everyone will be able to understand what you're going through. The fourth thing is that healing is not linear. We imagine that once you've been put on medication, you will be good in a week, or you'll be good in 2 weeks. Or when you start therapy, you'll be good in a month. Or when you do self-care, you'll be good in 2 days. That is not the case when it comes to depression. Depression is an up and down curve, and it will consistently be like that. There are times the downer will be really, really down. There are times you will be able to plateau and be okay. Then there are times you'll go down a bit and then come back up. And then you'll keep going and then you drop again and then come back up. That is what healing from depression looks like. It is not linear. It is up and down. And I know it can get extremely discouraging because I have been through it. You can imagine even for these 10 years, I'm still not used to the up and down. You know, I am put on a new drug, I feel better for a month, 2 months, and then pole I start feeling a bit unwell. Then I start getting discouraged and I start thinking, what's wrong with me? Why am I allowing this to happen to myself? What's wrong with me? But I sometimes forget, and I have to keep reminding myself, and that's why I would like to remind you guys that healing is not linear. Living with depression has its ups and downs. Another thing, well, in that thing of healing is not linear, is also that not everything will work all the time. So say, for example, you found that at a given time, journaling was helping you. Journaling was helping you dump your thoughts. Journaling was helping you go through all those things. Then it gets to a point, the journaling just stops working. And then now maybe you need to now start walking. Or maybe you need to start painting. Or maybe you need to change your medication. So maybe you were on this drug for a year and it's been helping you. Now you need to change. So not everything helps. Not everything will help all the time. You have to keep changing and switching and doing all those. Another very, very important point that you need to note is that just because someone is functioning does not mean that they cannot be suffering from depression. There is something called high functioning depression, whereby you're able to go by your day. You can go to work, you can run your business, you can take care of your home, you can do all these things, you can be a millionaire, you can, whatever it is. But just because someone has depression does not equal to them being non-productive. We have seen cases of people whereby someone dies by suicide, and this person was a successful business person, or they were successful in their career. And you find people saying, now what would have caused this? Why did this happen? What is it? That person had been struggling with depression and they were not aware. So depression is invisible. Someone can actually be extremely productive, extremely successful, and still suffer from depression. The very same way, there are other people who are not able to function or are not able to be productive due to depression. So that's something else that we need to know. Just because someone is productive, successful, getting life done, does not mean that they cannot develop or they are not suffering from depression. Point number 6. We need to remember that medical professionals are human as well. I'll repeat that. We need to remember that medical professionals are human as well. Your psychiatrist can hurt you. They are not perfect. Your psychologist can tell you things that deeply hurt you. Someone at a chemist can ask you uncalled for questions. I have been through that. I remember once going to buy antidepressants and someone at the chemist asked me, why are you depressed, or something like that. So we need to remember that these medical professionals are also human and they can also hurt you. They can say things that can hurt you. And we need to learn that it is also okay to change doctors, that is your psychiatrist. It is okay to change psychologists. And let me stay actually a bit there on the psychologist. You know, having chemistry between you and your psychologist is so important. Having someone who understands you. Your psychologist is kind of like your friend. They need to be able to understand you. They need to be you need to have chemistry between your psychologist. And if you feel that this person is not doing it for you, you can always change. Keep changing until you find the right person. So let's keep remembering, these medical professionals are human as well, and they can hurt you as well. They are not perfect. So choose two things. Either one, forgive and continue working with them, or two, forgive and move on and look for another professional. Point number 7, and this one is something that people really tend to do a lot, which is ignoring your symptoms. Ignoring your symptoms. I am number 1. Despite being in this journey for 10 years, I am number 1 in ignoring symptoms. I start feeling sick, I start feeling off, I keep myself busy. I go to town, I go shopping, I do what? I work on my business, I do what? To keep myself busy, to ignore the symptoms. And I am here to tell you that is the wrong approach of dealing with depression. Once you identify or once you suspect, and I keep telling people, if you suspect that you have depression, you know when you normally say, I think I'm suspecting I could be in a relapse, or I suspect I have depression. Let me tell you, when you're suspecting, more often than not, you actually have it. And ignoring is just going to make it worse. You're just going to keep getting worse. It's like a broken wrist or a broken leg. If you don't go to the hospital and you keep walking on that leg, it will keep getting worse and it's not going to heal. So that's the very same way we need to handle depression. When you start feeling those symptoms, when you start feeling some type of way, please speak to your psychiatrist, speak to your psychologist, start implementing, maybe if you need to increase more on your self-care, take care of yourself and do not ignore. The sooner you get treated, the sooner you start taking care of yourself, the faster you get better and the sooner you can be able to recover. Point number 8, depression looks different for everyone. I would like to ask caregivers, and I'd also like to ask the people suffering from depression themselves, please do not compare yourself with other people, because everyone's experience is different. Everyone's body is different. I remember there's a particular influencer who at some point, like maybe 3 years ago, she came out and told people she had been struggling with depression. And I remember for a very long time, I used to compare myself with her. I used to be like, how is she able to create content? How is she be able to go to the salon? How is she able to take care of her children? It really used to affect me, because at that point, I was in and out of hospital. I couldn't get out of bed. So I kept comparing myself with her. And what was it doing for me? It was just working against me. So please, do not compare yourself. If you're the person that's struggling with depression, do not compare yourself with other people. And if you're a caregiver, maybe a family member, a friend of someone who is struggling with depression and you know someone else, please do not compare them, because depression looks different for everyone. Yes, the symptoms are similar, but also the intensity of symptoms are also differ from different people. So please let us not compare. Another thing is that you can do everything right, but you can still get into a relapse. What do I mean by that? You can do your self-care, you can work out, you can journal, you can do whatever it is that helps you. You can go for therapy, you can be on your medication, you can have the right support, you can do everything right, but you can still get into a relapse. Reason being is sometimes you'll find either your brain is not producing enough serotonin, and even if you're on your medication or whatever, somehow it just short circuits and you get into a relapse. Sometimes you could have triggers that you did not realize that this particular thing has triggered you. So it could be can you say a silent trigger? Yeah. Like maybe you see something that reminds you of your former employer and you had such a hard time during that employment, then that thing triggers you and you get into a relapse. So also don't stress yourself too much by wondering, but I'm doing therapy, but I'm taking medication, but I'm doing this. That is just the nature of the condition. You can do everything right, but still get into a relapse. And it's not a failure on your part. It is not an inability to handle life stresses. It is not inability to handle tough things. That is not the case. That is just the nature of. And then lastly, and most important, it is important to bring God into this journey. I have just mentioned that it's been 10 years and something. Actually, wait, coming to think of it, it's been 10 years and 7 months. Ooh, I had calculated that wrong. But anyway, the topic will still remain 10 hard truths I've learned over the past 10 years. But in those 10 and a half years, actually 10 years and 6 months, I have gotten to understand the importance of bringing God into this difficult, dark journey. Yes, your therapist, well and good, tick. Psychiatrist, tick. Family, tick. Friends, tick. But the most important and the most ultimate and the best decision you can make for yourself is bringing God into this journey. Bringing God into this journey, this painful journey that you don't understand. This journey that is so confusing. This journey that is never ending. This journey that is so painful. Because he's the only person who sees you in your bed at night when you're crying. He's the one who sees deep inside you. He's the one who sees the weight. He's the one who sees the void. He's the one who sees the darkness. He's the one who sees the confusion. He's the one who sees you wanting to give up. And he's the only one who can help you out of that. And when I say help you out of that, I'm not talking about overnight change, healing. It's possible. God can do that. But what I have come to learn is bringing him in my every single day. Lord, give me the strength to go through this admission. Give me the strength to go through this dark time. Give me the strength. And then when you look back, you keep seeing what God has done for you. I keep saying that I am not alive. I am alive today not by my own strength, not by the strength of my family, not by the strength of my friend, but by the strength of God. Me being able to overcome this journey for 10 whole years has been through the grace of God, the strength of God, the favor of God, just his love, his everything. So I'd like to encourage you, if you're going through a dark time right now, bring God into that place. Read his word. Watch sermons if you have to, or podcasts if you have to. Bring God into this journey because he's the only one who will give you the grace and the strength to walk this journey every day until a time when he decides, okay, my daughter or my son, I want to bring healing now. Right? So let's look at it in that way. Let us ask God to help us walk through this process until we get to the healing. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to 10 truths I've learned over the past 10 years. I would love to hear from you guys. If you're someone who suffers from depression, please share with us what are some of the lessons that you've learned as you've walked along this journey. Please remember also, like, subscribe, follow, share. Please let us build this community and let us see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.